Okay, technology check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello. Today is October 28th, 2021. I'm Emily Bigelow. I'm your host of the Unpolished Supermom. Today, we're deep diving into emotional processing. This is episode 4 or part 4. We have worked through the different emotions, some of the different emotions, the way they feel in the body. And today, we're going to cover ways to process emotions, because if you don't know how to process your emotions are like this powerful current that can come into our lives. And oftentimes we want to just kind of sweep things under the rug. Sometimes that's what our families have done. Swept things under the rug and not talked about them, or we just fly off the handle and explode on somebody. And currently right now we're in some really beefy things as a global society, and we need to know how to process our emotions for ourselves and for our children, because they are in the time of their lives and we can't write a map to somewhere that we haven't been. So we can't teach our children proper emotional responses if we don't have them ourselves. So if you don't have some processing tips and tools, stick around, because that's what we're doing here today. So this, again, is episode 4. Go back and rewatch any of the others if or as you would like. But this is the Unpolished Supermom is just live, real, raw, uncut. This is real talk about real life with real solutions for real busy moms. So specifically speaking to the working moms and to all the moms out there, because I believe that when moms know better, we do better and we raise better children. And my goal is to help the next generation of kids, the next global upbringing. So today we're deep diving emotional processing. So I'm going to share kind of 3 categories with you today. And I have a couple of different suggestions for each of the categories. The first category is in dealing with emotions. Okay. So we've already talked about vaguely, and I already shared on the language of emotions, emotional intelligence, the language of emotions, what they feel like when they manifest in the body, and what their message is, what their lesson is, what they're here to teach, so that when an emotion comes up, you can recognize it and you can understand what the lesson is there to help you along with, and process the emotion through. So, emotions are without emotions, we have this icky, stagnant life, right? Like emotions are the communication of the soul. They're the goodness and the essence of life. Can you imagine what your life would be like without emotions? However, they need to come into our life. They need to leave all of the beautiful sediments, just like you would in a pond or a lake. A lake needs an inlet and an outlet, and the emotions need an inlet and an outlet. So today we're going to help them just kind of do their beautiful thing and then move on out. Okay. So 3 different ways in processing emotions, and stick around. Hopefully some of these maybe you are doing, and hopefully maybe some of them you have not thought of. And this is not a comprehensive list. This is just hopefully some great ideas. So under idea number 1 is to put it down and to take it out. A simple journal sometimes is just an easy way. I don't know if you've ever felt like when you're journaling that maybe somebody might get it and read it later. Maybe you had siblings and maybe that feeling is there that somebody's going to read my journal. Or maybe you're like, oh, my kids are going to read this crap I'm writing about them later. And you don't want that to be read. Okay. So let me introduce you to a concept that I call nonsense writing. And I will just show you a page of kind of what it looks like. It's literally just scribbles. So what this is allowing the movement of kind of the energy or the emotion. You're kind of writing, but you're literally not writing. So you're feeling and processing all of it, but without the worry of someone reading it later. So if that's something you're worried about when it comes to your journaling, is somebody, obviously you're not reading it again later either, but somebody coming across that and reading that and you don't want them to, that's a solution for you. You can nonsense journal. Just scribble it. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Okay. Of course, writing a letter to someone. We've heard this tip 1,001 times, and I don't know if you've ever tried it. a letter, even if you don't plan to give it. And a few ways of delivering the letter. You can, if you feel like you need to actually send it away, you can send it to Anytown, USA, put a stamp on it if you want, don't, whatever. They're not going to return it. Don't put a return address. So sending it can be helpful. Reading it out loud in front of a mirror can be a very effective way to get it out there too. And, universe takes note. But just a letter that way. And I'm going to run through these kind of fast today. And the third one under putting it down and taking it out is to flip it. And that is to find the lesson. To gratitude journal or appreciation. I like appreciation better than gratitude because they're a little bit different. Find appreciation that you have for whatever it is in the situation and journal that. That can be some of the best way to kind of get some things out. Sometimes finding the lesson in something is hard right away, but finding appreciation for little pieces of it is quite phenomenal. I'm going to share with you an experience that I did. I came across, I had a situation in my life where I was wanting, I knew I was reflecting on just life over the last, 20 months or almost 2 years and 20 months. And I was wanting to write down all of the things that I had learned because we've been through a lot and I felt like, I've learned a lot. But I felt like that was going to take a long time and I didn't sit down and do it. And then I was listening to a podcast or something. And the suggestion was, the suggestion was from Lynn Wood. And it was to write down everything that you learned about everything and everyone in 2020 and 2021, depending on what your life has been like. You probably, like the rest of us, you've had some stuff come up that has really created some paradigm shifts in your thoughts and your beliefs. And, none of us are going to emerge from this the same. Right. And better on the other side is the goal anyway. So that's great. But understanding what is the lesson? What have I learned? What is the good? So I took that challenge and I wrote down not everything that I'd learned about everything and everyone in 2020 and 2021, but I wrote a pretty good list of things. And at the end of the day, it wasn't the end of the day. That's just the saying. At the end of the process of writing this down, it probably only took me 10, 15 minutes. It was like, wow, that's a lot of stuff to learn in a little period of time. And so to be able to take a situation and just go, oh, wow, look at this and this and this. And I was just like, that's an intense amount of things to learn in a relatively short period of time. So if you feel like maybe you just haven't done anything for the last, 2 years of things of whatever, right? You've learned a lot, I bet you. So put it down, take it out. Okay. No, under the second category here, I'm going to call it take it to source, take it to your source. So whatever that feels like or looks like for you, some call it God, some call it Buddha, some call it great universal intelligence, higher power, whatever it is, take it there. And here would be an idea or a suggestion. Get a box, just any box will do, just a box with a lid though. And in the bottom of the box, make a little note. And the little note, it just kind of stays in the bottom of the box. You can tape it there, whatever. And it can say, Dear God, I am giving this concern to you for your keeping. Please resolve the issue in the best possible way for all involved. Thank you, love, and then your name. And then whatever your issues are, speak it to God, pray about it, do whatever you got to do. And then throw them in the box, put them in the box, close the lid and release it to him. Now, here's the catch. If you want to worry about that again, if you want to go back over that issue and start thinking about it and creating some more worry for yourself, you have to go take it out of the box. And you have to take it back from God and tell him that you're going to do all the worrying for a little minute on this. And whenever you're done with that, you can take it back and do the same, give it back to the box, give it back to God. So, people are like, give it to God, give it to God. This is an actual way to bring out of the ether, out of the emotional realm. I call, out of the ether, something that you can't, you can feel it, but maybe you can't see it. and putting it into a physical practice. That's what all of these processes of emotions are. So it seems silly to be like, oh, give it to God. I just give it to God. But no, actually physically give it to God. And if you want to worry about it, take it back and like worry about it yourself and then give it back. And it seems kind of silly to take something away from God. Like, I think I'm going to manage this better than you. So you get my point there. Okay, the second thing under this category or of taking it to source is Dear God letters. So yes, a letter to God about whatever it is. But here's the thing. At the end, you're going to write, please answer me through my pen. And then you literally just write down whatever it is as it comes. You just go with it, just flow with it. And this exercise might blow your socks off. If you have never done this, if you have never tried this, it's amazing. And I'm offering a lot of different processes because not everything's going to work at a different time, right? We talked about conscious complaining last week in episode 3, and we talked about anger towel whipping. Sometimes you don't need to complain. And sometimes it's not that you're so angry that you need to whip the towel. Maybe it's just that you can just do a simple bit of journaling and you don't want somebody to read it. So you nonsense write it, or it's a letter and you mail it. Maybe it's that you find the lesson. Maybe it's that you put it in a box and just like let God worry about it because you've given it to him. And maybe it's something where you feel like you need to have a little bit of inspiration, and writing a Dear God letter is an incredible way. Please answer me through my pen, and then just let it flow. Let the inspiration and the answer flow, and just write down whatever comes. Don't try to it's pretty phenomenal. Okay. So the third category today I call release techniques. And I have instructions on one of them, and I've thought about how best to get it to you. I don't have it available in a quick link. It's available in my Satisfied Working Mother method. All of these resources are, but this particular resource isn't pulled out of the Satisfied Working Mother method and segmented to where I can give it to you. If you want a copy of the instructions to this, if you email me, I'll send it to you. It's support@coachbigelow.com, and just ask for the release and embrace technique, and I'd be happy to send that to you. I'm going to go over that kind of in detail, but let me give you a pretty awesome release technique. There is a meditation by Brendon Burchard, and it's available on YouTube. So you can literally just Google Brendon Burchard release technique. Just hold on, finish the video here, and then you can go Google that. I did this live with Brandon at an event, and after 25 years of a situation that I guess I wasn't fully aware, I was aware it was manifesting. It was coming up in my life. It was showing itself to me. I wasn't really as in-depthly aware of and able to release it until I did this at a Brendon Burchard event. So you can do the same. It's a 15-minute meditation with Brendon Burchard. The first 10 minutes he goes through explaining, and you might find that you listen to that, and then later on you just kind of skip the first 10 minutes. But anyway, for me, that was a powerful technique in releasing some shame that I carried for a lot of years for being a young single teenage mom. And wasn't aware how when people would ask me how old I was and how old my son is, that shame instantly would fire or connect. And I knew that people were doing this math in their head, and I had it's quite interesting. So maybe consider looking into that release technique or that release meditation with Brendon Burchard. Again, I have all of these links and all these things that I can deliver to you in the Satisfied Working Mother method. I just haven't compiled them to do this here because this is the unpolished Supermom, and this is just everything live. So the last thing that I'll share with you today is called a release and embrace technique. And this is the thing. If you want this, just email me support@coachbigelow.com and I'll send it to you. So this is something that I learned through this book, Calling in the One. And this book, interestingly enough, is a book that, and I don't usually go back over books multiple times. It's a book and it's like a workbook, and there's tons and tons of processes. If you notice, there's lots of writing. I have lots of writing. Oops, and I still have notes, writing and notes in this book, lots of underlining, highlighting. There's a whole nother page of notes, pages of notes in here. Calling in the One is not, it's a relationship book. So it's Catherine Woodward Thomas. It's a relationship book, but it is really, you're the one that you're calling in, because if you end up in a relationship and you didn't, like, you're going to bring the same skin suit to a new relationship as you did the old relationship, and you just might have the same issues again in a different skin suit, in another person, in another human, because you didn't work with them, through them, you didn't resolve them. So the lesson comes again. And so it really, calling in the one is you. It's literally doing the work on you. So this is a release and embrace technique that is found somewhere in that book, in one of those chapters. And essentially, this is taking something from, again, just kind of out there in the ether, putting it into a physical, bringing it into the physical component. Sometimes words are just hard. And then processing it or moving it through in a physical way. Okay. So I'm just going to really fast tell you this exercise. So you need a piece of paper and a pen. Later on, you're going to need a journal, and have some time for yourself when you're doing this. You're going to make a list of things. It doesn't have to necessarily be a comprehensive list, but things that you're willing to, that you want to process through, that you want to let go of. Okay. So put a star. So the things that you want to let go of, the things that you need to process, the things that you need to, right? It can be whether you feel like you're ready to process them or not. Put a star by the things that you feel completely ready to surrender, and a heart next to the things that you believe that you need to work on. So you take a piece of paper and you write, I release on one side, and you write, I embrace on the other. Okay. So you have this whole list of things, and you really have to look at this, and you have to go, okay, well, what am I willing to release, and what do I need to embrace on the flip side of that? So for example, and you'll have to make sure that you have uninterrupted time to do this. So for example, if you would like to release blaming my parents for my problems, if you find that you've got some of that jargon coming up, that's on your release side. On your embrace side, you would write, I embrace forgiveness for both of my parents. If common for a lot of women is the need to control situations, that can look like how your household looks, how it operates, how dinner, how dishes, how homework, how kids, like the need to control. And a lot of that stems from early childhood situations where you didn't have things that you could control. And so now as an adult, you need to control things in your house. And so if you're understanding that that's something that you're willing to release, you can write that on your release side. I release my need to control situations. And on the embrace side, you would write, I embrace the support of others' ability to help and to handle things their way. Because you might be willing to accept help, but only if it looks like the way that you want it to look like, right? If it doesn't look like, if it looks like the way somebody else wants it to look like, it might not feel right to you. And so that could be a common problem that, like, listen, I'm not sitting here up on this pedestal. How do you think I know some of these things, right? These are actual processes that I have utilized with processing emotions, and they work well. And I've done this for years. I've worked through this for years. So you can do your release and your embrace. So moving on to the next part of the ritual, you take out your journal and you write down the things that you are going to embrace. Okay. So you're like documenting your healing. These are the things that I embrace. And then get a bowl or a bucket or whatever, take your piece of paper, and for the things that you are releasing and embracing. So you've already written the things you're embracing into your journal. So you have a list of things that you can work on. Get a bowl, a bucket. You're going to burn your list one at a time. cut your thing one at a time. Just go down and cut. What do you release? What do you embrace? And speak it out loud. And then you could burn it. If burning feels weird to you, I burn it, bowl of water at the bottom, or you can stomp on it. You can crinkle it. You can, rip it up and throw it in the garbage. Like if burning doesn't feel right to you, I mean, whatever, right? But physically moving it, releasing it, and saying what it is that you embrace about that. So now you have this list of things that you said you're willing to embrace and that you're going to work on. So now when you're finished, you take out your journal again. You finish with your burning, your tearing, your ripping, your stomping, your whatever, and write a list of actions that you are going to take and by when to support the things that you just released. So you're kind of holding yourself accountable, right? So say, for example, I'm going to write a letter to a friend that I've had a tiff with, letting her know, my part in this or my apologies or whatever. I'm going to do that by Monday. Say releasing part of the need for control of the entire home is maybe to control some of the environment of your room. And you want to give myself a beautiful home by going out to purchase a new bedroom set, or not bedroom set, but, a new comforter set or pillows or whatever, right? I'm going to do that by this weekend. I'm going to work on releasing my compulsive eating by maybe having an accountability partner who I text daily and let them know if my eating was on point or not. So, and then then you have your list of things that you choose to work through. So what happens when you have actual ways to process your emotions is that they come up and they're handled. And then they don't come up again. They don't have to keep coming up. You ever notice when a couple gets in an argument or a disagreement, or even a friend, it could be whatever, like people can't stay on point of that argument. Like, what are we speaking about right now? They have to get like, oh, and there was all this stuff back here and we got to bring everything up. And it's like everything comes up. And then all of a sudden, instead of this one little problem here in the middle, got all this extra crap piled on. And it was 5 years ago said that, and 2 years ago. Like, you're not dealing with the problem at hand. And then all of a sudden it's like, you don't even know what just happened or what we're even arguing about or what even, like, because people don't know how to process their emotions. So when you know how to process your emotions by yourself, these are not ways that include other people. This is you processing your stuff so that you can then stop the madness, right? Stop some of the cycle from happening. So sometimes that's maybe just putting it down and taking it out in a journal, in a nonsense journal. If you don't want somebody to read it, maybe it's a letter that somebody's never going to read that you just drop in the mail. And maybe it's that you read that letter, actually read it to yourself. You deliver it to yourself in front of the mirror as if it was to that person. Sometimes it's actually giving it to that person. Flip it to appreciation or gratitude. Appreciation. Find the lesson, find the good that it has brought, find what that is, and journal that. And if you can't do that, even just acknowledging what you have learned, not learned, but what do you know from this experience? That can be a powerful process. Let go and let God. Literally take it to your source in a physical process. Put it in a box, give it to God, let God worry about it. If you want to worry about it, go ahead and tell God you're going to take it from him and you're going to worry about it. And you got to take it out of that box and sit and worry over it. It's kind of silly. And then it works really well. Dear God, letters, write whatever it is that needs to be written. And then at the conclusion, please answer me through my pen, and then just follow the inspiration and the flow that comes and the writing that comes. Might be weird to you the first time that you ever do this. And then after you do it, I promise you'll just be like, wow. And you'll do it again. And then lastly, we went over with the release techniques. And so that Brennan Burchard meditation, you can Google that. That's on YouTube. It's just a 15-minute meditation by the time it's all said and done, after the 10 minutes of instruction. And then I shared with you the I release and I embrace technique. And it's literally, that is one of my favorites. And it is very, very healing. But all of these bring and allow you to take emotions into the physical to be processed. So that comes to the conclusion of what I have in this part of emotions and emotional intelligence, the language of emotions that we've been working with. So this is episode 4. So next week, we're going to be diving into, and we'll dive into a kind of a segment of the process of emotions in the body and the ways that they manifest, because the tissue will tell the issue. Disease is dis-ease and in the body. And what is the language of the body? It's your body is talking. And so then it's listening, it's learning to listen to that. And what is it saying? So we're going to dive into some of that moving forward. I just want to thank you for making space to join me today at whatever capacity, or this evening or morning, whenever it is that you're watching this. And if you aren't already, subscribe, hit like, share it with somebody, like it if you liked it, right? Share it with somebody if you felt impressed to try some of these emotional processes. Email me if you want that I release and I embrace technique. And I will be with you again next week. And so until we meet again, take care of you. Oh, I had a note that I wanted to share. Darn it. I'll share it with next time. Take care of you so that you can take care of everybody else, because you matter. Okay. Bye for now.